Madam Speaker. As always, a great honor to rise in this House representing the people of Timmins, James Bay. What we're dealing with today is another day of the immature fighting that goes on between the Conservatives and the Liberals. You know, when the Conservatives were in power, their shtick was cutting everything in camera. Everything had to go in camera. The idea that you could have a public committee was so outrageous, everything had to go in camera. The Liberals, on the other hand, what they do is if they don't like a question, they filibuster. You have a government actually obstructing its own committees. And then they act like they're like the whiniest, you know, picked upon people. They've got this new thing now that there's somehow a tyranny of the majority picking on the minority. The minority here is the government of Canada. And what they are doing is, what have they been filibustering? They've been filibustering about the fact that this Liberal government is trying to stop access and vaccines in the third world. They've been filibustering that. They've been filibustering a very, very serious issue of sexual misconduct and the failure of the Defense Department to defend women in the military. So rather than get answers, they're filibustering. And of course, the Ethics Committee has been filibustered day in, day out for so long. Now, I will say that, you know, in terms of what's happening at Ethics, I think we know pretty much all that we're going to know about the we group. What we do know is that after 8 months, we can honestly and confidently say we don't have a clue how this financial operation runs. That this is such an obscure, massive system of all their real estate holdings, their private companies, their public, supposed public entities, the charities, the holding companies. We still haven't been able, after 8 months, been able to get answers. To me, that is very serious. In fact, we just got a letter from their lawyer, very outraged that we were asking, well, how many schools did you actually build? And apparently that'll take months to get an answer to. Now, on the issue of what's before...
The honourable member for Kingston and the Islands has a point of order.
On the issue of the filibustering, I believe it's the member from New Westminster Burnaby, an NDP member, who holds the record for filibustering in this House. Point
of debate. The honourable member for Timmins, James Bay, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is very typical that Liberals believe if they act like sock puppets for the Prime Minister's office, they will get advancement instead of actually acting like parliamentarians. So it's sort of a typical example, Madam Speaker, that they insult and they shout, but then nobody's a victim like a Liberal's a victim. That's certainly something I've seen. But I will say the one thing that Conservatives and Liberals agree on, you know, at committee, as the one member of the New Democratic Party, whenever I try and find a compromise, the one thing the Liberals and Conservatives absolutely agree on is there's going to be no compromise. This is going to be a fight to the finish. So I've tried to work with the Liberals. I want to get this thing solved. And the reason I want to get this solved, Madam Speaker, is these procedural games are interfering with some very serious work we need to do. So I'd say pox on both their houses. And one of the things that we actually need to get dealt with is the study that I'm very concerned is not going to get finished, on the study that has started into Pornhub MindGeek, because there are very, very serious issues here. And I don't see any interest in compromising the Liberals or the Conservatives at this point so we can get that study done. We've received some extraordinary messages from people around the world who are looking to our committee to do something that's never been done before, to shine a light into some very dark corners. Powerful, powerful statements, Madam Speaker, that may never see the light of day because of the filibustering. I was astounded the other day that we actually got a message from Rose Kalemba, because I mentioned her. She was the first one to come forward. She was raped and tortured as a child, and her abuse was posted on Pornhub and MindGeek. The abuse that young child suffered was horrific. She couldn't get it down, and she wrote to us. She said that she couldn't believe that this will be a monumental moment if we actually get this study done. She said, I was the first Pornhub survivor to speak out with my face and real name. That was initially on social media and then on BBC World. I learned her story from BBC World, but I didn't know that she's Canadian. I was 14. I was raped, and my attackers videoed the assault and posted it. And after my rape, I tried to commit suicide. And after I survived, I struggled greatly to manage my life. But I was re-victimized by the posting of the video on Pornhub, where an unknown number of others could watch, download, and distribute my assault. 6 videos of my rape at age 14, uploaded by my attackers, stayed on Pornhub while they refused to remove them for over half a year. My cries to them, where I begged them to take down, started that I was a minor and that it was not consensual, both of which were glaringly obvious, while ads appeared alongside the rape video. She has reached out to our committee and asked us to do the job that needs to get done in getting answers. There's another letter I want to read into the record, just in case the filibustering goes on forever and we never get this done, but it should be on the record. From a former MindGeek Pornhub person who worked in management, who says, "I fear for my safety, so I prefer not to give more details. But please investigate all the cam girl sites that MindGeek runs. I am certain many of these so-called models are being held in captive in trafficking situations all over the world. For example, women trying to escape North Korea will be held captive and forced into the cam studios in China by their trafficker, who they thought would help them get out. This story repeats globally. MindGeek denies responsibility by separating themselves from the cam girl studios. Instead, these companies are managed as affiliate relationships, market relationships, but MindGeek is making a lot of money off these women held against their will." He said, "Ask MindGeek to provide all the financial records for all incoming and outgoing transactions in their affiliate networks for all business units, all pay sites, all tube sites, all cam sites, all advertising networks like Traffic Junkie. It will be clear that the scope of the problem is much larger than anyone on the Ethics Committee or reporting in mainstream media currently realizes. This problem is so much bigger than Pornhub." Also mentions this former manager that he was discouraged from contacting Interpol when I stumbled on child content by my superiors. I was not allowed to report this kind of content when it crossed my desk. Now, the issue that's before us is that we have a law in Canada, a law that says, and it was passed in 2011, that if an online site has an allegation of child pornography, they have to refer it to the police. So little Rose Kalemba, who was 14 and held and raped again and again and tortured, physically tortured, when she went forward, she could have contacted Pornhub, and they had a legal obligation to contact the RCMP, and we'd have a record of it. Serena Fleitas, who spoke to us, who was sexually abused at age 14, who begged Pornhub to take it down. There should have been a record. Pornhub said they couldn't find any record of Ms. Fleitas. They were going to check their files. But there's a law in Canada that says you have to report. The RCMP came to us, and the RCMP told us it was all difficult. You know, they needed more funding. And we asked them, did you ever deal with Pornhub and ask them about compliance with the law? And my understanding was they said no. But then we read in La Presse in 2018, the RCMP went to Pornhub and said, what about your duty to report? And Pornhub said, well, we're not a Canadian company. Pornhub, based in Montreal, is not a Canadian company. The RCMP left. We're now being told from the Director of Public Prosecutions that it's really a provincial matter, even though we have federal laws to deal with child pornography, that somehow it's the provincial government's responsibility to do this. These are the questions that we need to get to. We need to have the Minister of Justice come and explain whether or not we're going to have child pornography laws in this country that will be enforced, or they're not going to be enforced. We need to get to this study, so I'm encouraging, I'm asking, I'm begging my colleagues in the Liberal and Conservative Party to stop beating each other with these plastic sticks for the cameras and actually get down to the work that we need to do at our committee. And I would like to say that I will amend the motion if my colleagues accept, that the motion will be amended in paragraph B by replacing the word 10 a.m. with the following 11 a.m. Thank you very much.